Hello everyone, welcome to Analog IAS Current Affair Analysis for 25th May 2020, and these are the articles we'll be dealing today. The first article for the day is taken from The Hindu and it is titled Hardly the 1991 Movement for Agriculture. So if we take the consideration of the COVID-19 situation, the first thing that we have to appreciate is the availability of food in the market. So this availability of food in the market is a function of production. And we have to appreciate our community, the farming community, for accomplishing the task where India traditionally was criticized for its ship-to-mouth situation, wherein we depended upon the PL 480 program of US for our food grains. And today we have reached a stage where we are giving right to food. Despite this significant change in the situation of the agricultural sector, the situation for farming as a business has hardly changed. So in this context, the recent reforms introduced by the government in the COVID-19 economic recovery package called the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan package, certain supply side reforms which gave a hope that agriculture will finally become a remunerative business. Even before the COVID pandemic, the government had an objective of doubling farmers' income by 2022. So these set of reforms are considered very crucial for agricultural sector, and the reforms pertaining to APMC Act, contract farming and other supportive mechanisms to ensure that the storage infrastructure is in place made this set of reforms to be hailed as the 1991 movement for agriculture. Now what do you mean by this 1991 movement? In 1991, what happened in the Indian economy was we have liberalized, privatized and globalized our industry and opened our gates for foreign direct investment into our economy, which went on to create a lot of jobs, especially in the services sector. However, one downside of these reforms was that it was skewed towards service sector and agricultural sector was left behind. So was the manufacturing sector. Even though manufacturing sector was supposed to grow, but there were a lot of other set of problems which have stopped the growth of manufacturing. So in the present context, where in 1950 the share of agriculture in GDP was nearly 50% and today it is just around 15%. In order to increase the share of agriculture in GDP, the government has come up with these set of reforms. So this article is a critical appraisal of that set of reforms announced by our finance minister as a part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan package. The first problem is with respect to the APMC Act, because it will not allow private traders to sell or purchase produce from farmers outside the APMC or the mandis that we talk about. So what this has essentially done is it created a lobby or a gang of middlemen who tried to reduce the prices, and price discovery for farmers became a huge issue because of lack of access to any marketing infrastructure. So the first reform announced by the finance minister was to deregulate this and allow private traders to carry out trading. However, the author of this article argues that in fact, the regulations and the functionings of the mandis vary a great deal across the states, because he quotes examples of states like Kerala where APMC Act was not there. So there were many other states like Tamil Nadu which reformed this APMC Act and allowed private traders, and even there are states like Telangana and Andhra Pradesh which allowed direct marketing of the produce by farmers themselves in the form of Raitu Bazaars. So all these examples show that this reform is not a new reform. So despite all these, the major problem is not recognized. The major problem in APMC is political interference. As long as this political interference is there, there is no price discovery for farmers. That is the main issue that we should address. Let us also take the example of Bihar. So generally the argument in favor of reforms is that it will allow private investment in marketing infrastructure, and it will also provide better choices for farmers, leading to better prices. However, in the case of Bihar, no investment came in building market infrastructure. Not only this, it also led to the loss of revenue because of the breakdown of the APMC infrastructure. So the logic that we have to understand is this: just deregulating the market is not sufficient. We have to create an environment that is conducive enough to ensure private infrastructure comes into the place. That is absent in the present framework and the reforms announced for private sector. So the author says that the argument that the only bottleneck for farmers not receiving remunerative prices is due to APMC Act is flawed. So more than 80% of the farmers don't sell their produce in the agricultural mandis itself. So they directly sell to the middlemen at the farm gate itself. For a majority of farmers, prices received are more a function of the demand for agricultural commodities than access to markets. So if we take the example of milk prices, there are private dairies and cooperative dairies. Despite that, the recent trend has shown that the price discovery for farmers has been falling down and profits are increasing for the companies. So how do we explain this even when there is a private market? So this has something to do with supply and demand dynamics of the market, and it has little to do with marketing. No matter how much marketing a particular commodity receives, unless and until there is demand for that product, we will not see higher price discovery. So the recent trend, especially after the lockdown, is that most of the restaurants are closed, and therefore there is no better price discovery for our produce. So in order to ensure that we have better markets, we have to ensure that the demand is consistent. We have to find new markets for this. So in this context, the necessary reform is to ensure that agricultural export marketing is done in a proper way. So we have to ensure that spending is also increased. So the author concludes that we also have to address this issue of demand for the short term to ensure that farmers receive better prices for their produce. That is the gist of this article. The second article for the day is taken from the Hindu and it is titled "The Need for a Million Work Sites Now." Now this article is about the importance of creating rural demand for economic revival. The major source of jobs in this present scenario is Manrega. We all know that Manrega is a sort of right to work to ensure 100 days of employment for unskilled labor. Now because of the COVID-19 situation, there has been a reverse migration back to states like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, and Manrega becomes more and more important in this context because of lack of any other job. In this context, the author argues that the unprecedented demand for Manrega makes us realize the importance of this scheme, which was vilified as a pit digging scheme without any benefit in return. So this acts as a social security in times of distress like this. So what are the problems associated with this scheme? How do we ensure rural livelihoods are not taking a hit? How do we ensure that the efficacy of the initiatives taken by government to handle the COVID-19 crisis see better results? That is the focus of this article. Firstly, appreciating the success of the public distribution system is very important because it has prevented the worst from happening. The survey shows that overwhelming majority of the poor households, that is up to 86%, are currently receiving food rations, and the doubling of food rations for 3 months was a good move on the part of the government. However, we still have 500 million people who are left out of this PDS system because of lack of access to ration cards. So it is important to extend the benefits of PDS system to these 500 million as well. So right now there is a problem with enrolling with Manrega. So the author suggests that till we have an alternative system in place, we have to allow the migrant labor to turn up at the site and have access to the jobs on the site itself rather than waiting for a registration system which is very cumbersome. So electronic registration is not in place right now, and this is the reason why the scale of NREGA works remains very low in many states in spite of a huge demand. So till we have an alternative system in place, every village needs to have at least one major work site where a good number of people can work in a short notice without any problem of registration. So much can be done to facilitate this by expanding the list of permissible works, and we have to ensure that Gram Rozgar Sevaks or employment assistants simplify the implementation process. In order to make this program more accessible, one of the major roadblock is the electronic payments. So there is a delay in this electronic payments. So the author of this article is suggesting that we switch back to cash payments on a temporary basis till the system is in place. We should not wait for the government to create an infrastructure in place so that the MNREGA activities start happening. So the idea of return to cash payments instead of direct benefit transfer might eliminate all the good things that happened with direct benefit transfer with an objective to eliminate corruption itself. But however, we have to trust the people on the ground in this crisis. Otherwise, we will be having a larger demographic disaster with a lot of hunger deaths. That is the gist of this article. So on a conclusive note, the author argues that the rise in budget for NREGA should not be seen as a wasteful expenditure because we are actually supporting the lives of millions of people in our rural sector. Therefore, focus must be upon using this MNREGA as a means to build social assets, especially in the rural sector. So this can be a win-win situation both for the governments as well as the people. That is the gist of this article. That's it for the day. Thank you.